Hello guys, I'm back again for another video today. We're going to be talking about Paldea Evolved Booster Boxes because they have been seeing a lot of growth. They've been seeing kind of an unreal amount of growth, and I want to talk about, is this natural? Is this a good time to get in? If you have some position already, should you buy? If you have a good position, should you sell? Is it a good time for one of those options? And I just want to give you guys the facts, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do, but ultimately what you want to do comes down to your position, your size, your risk tolerance, and what your goals are for the hobby. So I can't really answer that question for you. That's obviously for you to answer, but I'm just here to help you out a bit. As we can see, it's kind of starting to hit a new leg up. As I talked about in a previous video, Pokemon boxes, once they start to move, they start to hit legs up like this, and then downturn a bit, and then hit another leg up, and then downturn. Right now, this is happening really quickly with Paldea Evolved because it's a newer set. Once the set is a year or two older, I think it's going to have a more stagnant growth, more normal growth, as most people would put it. Yeah, this box has just been insanely defying expectations. 350 looks to be the current market price. People are apparently paying that. You know, most recent sales, I go into eBay last sold as well. Why is this in this? What? I sorted by ended recently. Okay. Yeah, okay. More recent listings around 340, 350, 335, 350. So, it's in that range. And I kind of want to take a look at Paldea Evolved. It's a much older set. The chance of getting a booster box reprint diminishes every month we pass. And next year it's going to be out of rotation. So I think a lot of people are looking at Paldea Evolved and they see the chase card hitting new highs, which we will talk about. But I kind of want to say that I think Paldea Evolved looks like a few sets from Sword and Shield. I'm seeing some patterns, and we'll go into that later. But first, I just want to talk about the set list of Paldea Evolved. Obviously, the Magikarp has been seeing insane, unreal growth. PSA 10 prices, they're at 2K. They're extremely high. And I want to talk about this at a later point in the video. But yeah, just in general, this has been seeing insane growth. The Raichu is very cute. Tyranitar is great. I think this Iona card is kind of mid. I don't know why it's so expensive. I think it's just because it was the top chase initially. I low-key could see this going down even more. You even got some sleeper hits, like this Meryl, Sprigatito, Fuecoco, starter SIRs. I pulled this Miss Maggie as I thought it looks really awesome. The Excalibur is cool. Like, this is an SIR, the Chanpao, and it's pretty cheap. The Tauros is really awesome. Yeah, this set has a lot of solid illustration rares, and it features a lot of Paldean Pokemon, which is kind of cool. You know, that's a very era-defining set. But besides that, I see why a lot of people are hesitant on Paldea Evolved because it really feels like it only has one big chase card that people are really pushing for. And don't get me wrong, it's an amazing chase card, but I think people are deterred from investing into a set if it doesn't feel like the entire set is strong and only one is strong. But in my opinion, I think Paldea Evolved will continue to see pretty good growth. And the reason is that it reminds me of sets like Fusion Strike and Lost Origin. So Fusion Strike, I think, is better than Paldea Evolved. Let me just make that clear. I think the top four or five hits already kind of clear most of Paldea Evolved's hits besides the Magikarp, but it's similar in that I think a lot of the other cards just don't hold up very well. You're really just going for like a few top hits and that's it, right? Especially this Gengar VMAX. Espeon I really love. I want this on my PC so badly. It looks amazing. But one big difference between Fusion Strike and Paldea Evolved is let's look at the PSA 10 population, because people will say that this doesn't really matter for modern because there's, the population is so high, but the demand is so high that it kind of just naturally meets. And so the price will still keep going up because demand is just, there's so much demand right now. And I can kind of agree with that, right? 10,000 is a lot of cards for a PSA 10 to be this price. That shows pretty high demand. Same with the Espeon. Way more PSA 10s than there are PSA 9s. And Fusion Strike has pretty brutal pull rates. So all things considered, this is a pretty good pop report for these. And then Lost Origin I also think is in a similar boat. Again, just top 4 chase cards are really good. The rest of it, kind of mid. I actually think Lost Origin has some good depth, though, with some of these art rares, like the Gengar and Pikachu. I think they look pretty cool. The Leon's Charizard I also fuck with. And the reason I think that Paldea Evolved could see similar growth is look at the PSA 10 populations for these chase cards. Obviously, the Magikarp, only around 3,000. So the Magikarp doesn't even have to be on the same level as the Garatina. It doesn't have to be on the same level as the Gengar. It just has to be at least a third as good. Because again, supply and demand, there's just not enough supply to go around. And you can even see, oftentimes the modern cards, the PSA 9 value is going to be lower than the raw card. Magikarp, I think, is going to be one of the few exceptions where the PSA 9 might actually end up being more than the raw card because the print quality in Paldea Evolved is horrible. And it doesn't just apply to Magikarp. I mean, look, even this Raichu, only 1k pop. 1,000 pop for the Raichu. Same with Tyranitar, 1,000 population, right? And you can see there's a huge drop off. 500 down to $34. And a lot of people are going to say this is not sustainable. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of inclined to agree. I think I think this price discrepancy is a little too crazy for me. I wouldn't be investing in these singles at these prices, especially. I just feel like we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but I think all of that could contribute to Paldea Evolved being almost a runner. And when you see a front runner, personally, from what I've seen in Sword and Shield, it kind of seems like it's smart to double down. I have a lot of position in Paldea Evolved. I have over 7 boxes, and I think I might buy more because my dollar cost average is at MSRP. I bought a lot at like 180-ish range, and then I bought a few more when it hit MSRP, and then I bought more when it hit like 200. Right, so my dollar cost average is I think around below or at MSRP. So if I buy another one now, I'm not going to, destroy my entry point that much. So I'm considering buying one. I'm going to hold off a bit because I think what's going to happen with this chart is it's going to hit a new price. And then because Paldea Evolved is still so new, guys, people bought cases of this for like 600, 700, 800. It was very readily available for a very long time. And so because of that, all the people that bought here, they're seeing that their money almost tripled, quadrupled, right? In a matter of a year. And so they're like, okay, I'm going to take some profits, which is honestly a smart thing to do. At some point, you do have to take profits when you're investing. No harm in taking profits early. It's less risky. Schmuck insurance, get your money out, pay for the boxes you currently have with the profits you make. Nothing against that. I have no problem with people doing that. And we're going to see, more product being dumped onto the market as each new leg up keeps going. But as you see with this leg up, let's zoom back in, right? Zoom back into the 3-month. Hits a leg up, goes down, supply starts to dwindle. Bam, sees another leg up when people realize, oh shit, there's not enough to go around anymore. Then when people see the box rise, they look at the boxes on their shelves and they say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to start selling some of these. And then we go back down into this little lull period when it dips down back again. This is a good time to buy when it hits this, not when it hits here, but like when it kind of goes down a bit. I mean, obviously the best time to buy was back here, but we can't can't go back in time, unfortunately. And I believe in Paldea Evolved. I think it's a great set. I think people believe that Paldea Evolved is a single chase card set with just a Magikarp, but I am kind of inclined to disagree. I would not mind fishing for a PSA 10 Raichu that's worth $400, or fishing for a $500 PSA 10 Tyranitar. Now, are those prices going to hold up? No idea. I'm even inclined to say no, but at the same time, low population, it makes a difference. It does make a difference. It means that the demand is amplified, right? When supply is low, demand feels like it's going to be bigger, and the price is going to reflect that. Especially if you want the highest quality, quote unquote, highest quality stuff, right? Very cute Meryl. The Sprigatito, I think, is a big contender to pop up in the future. It's such a beautiful artwork. And it's a starter. And I think when kids grow up later, they're really gonna love, this Fuecoco and this Sprigatito cards. I think these are gonna pop off, later on down the line. Um, but I don't think they're gonna go crazy now. This is more of like a when kids grew up and they remember their favorites, right? But yeah, I think ultimately Paldea Evolved is a very solid set. If you don't have any exposure, I might actually recommend the ETBs because the ETBs do come with a pretty cool promo, with the Pikachu and then like all the three starters. So if you don't have a lot of money and you want to get into Paldea Evolved, then ETB is not a bad route. But of course, booster boxes are king. You're gonna get the most return on investment for that. If you're thinking about buying prismatic bundles for 60, I think I'd actually recommend Paldea Evolved. Even better, 151 bundles. Speaking of prismatic, actually, did you guys get the PC ETB drop? I unfortunately have a job, so I was not able to hit the PC drop. It looks like you were able to buy two, it looks like, which is crazy. I don't know why they changed the limit on that to two, but whatever. I hope to see that market crash so I can buy more PC ETBs, because that's going to be a really good performing set in general. But enough shilling prismatic. Paldea Evolved. Goodbye. Good sell and good hold. I think you are not really wrong if you do anything. If I'm being honest, I don't think it matters what you do as long as you stay somewhat invested. I wouldn't sell your entire position, but I don't think it's wrong to sell a bit of it. Definitely reduces your risk, right? I don't think it's wrong to double down and buy more, especially if you bought at an earlier state. If you're with us down here and you bought into, in this area, kudos to you, man. You hit it. We hit it. I would recommend maybe even doubling down and buying more. When you see front runners from a generation, like when you look at the Scarlet and Violet generation and you start to see the ones that are outperforming the others, Paldea Evolved comes to mind, 151 comes to mind, Prismatic comes to mind. These are the sets, destined rivals, right? Surging maybe, Twilight even maybe, we'll see. But when you start to see the front runners and they've aged a bit, then it's time to really, when they've proven their worth, is when it's time, I would say, to double down if you're into that. But that's just my 2 cents, not financial advice, of course. And as always, make sure you have investments in other traditional assets as well. Pokemon should not be your end-all, be-all investments. Again, it is all cardboard. The one concern I have for Paldea Evolved actually is that a lot of people are holding the box right now. And we could definitely see a mass sell-off if, for some reason, Pokemon Company decides to reprint Paldea Evolved. That would be crazy. If that happens, that would be nuts. But, true investors would love that because it means a lower entry point, baby. But anyway, yeah. I think Paldea Evolved is a solid buy. I think if you have a lot of it, sell off a bit of it, maybe move some of it into older Sword and Shield stuff if you don't have much of that. And overall, I think it's just a decent hold. I could easily see Paldea Evolved becoming a front runner for Scarlet and Violet in general and doing well very long term. So that's it for today's video. Let me know, what do you think of Paldea Evolved? Do you think it really is one of the best sets of this generation, or do you think the Magikarp is a bit overhyped, over FOMO'd, and shilled to the ground? Who knows? I don't know, but if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.